Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about extreme flexibility in dancers and whether or not that is actually a good thing. Hi guys, my name is Jordan Jonas Sparks and I am a dancer and dance tutor, dance mentor here on YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. To start off, if you want to give this video a thumbs up just to support me, that would mean the absolute world to me. If at any point in this video you decide that you would like to welcome yourself to the Sparkly family, please make sure to press that juicy red subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you don't miss another video. So in this video, I wanted to specifically talk about extreme flexibility, hyperflexibility, hypermobility, because I just briefly skimmed across this topic in my last video about cross-training. If you haven't checked that out, you should definitely check that out here on my channel, because I think it is going to be a useful video for every dancer. But I wanted to talk about extreme flexibility, because this is a topic that I have studied extensively. It is something that has always been of great interest to me. I have always been fascinated by contortion and acrobatics and extreme flexibility, rhythmic gymnastics, those kinds of things since I was extremely little. And I have went to and through great lengths to achieve some extreme flexibility in my life, and I wanted to share with you guys my knowledge behind that and whether it is actually a good thing or not. So, first off, because of shows like Dance Moms becoming pop culture in this day and age, we are seeing all of these extreme acrobatic and contortion acts by little children for the most part, and we're also seeing everybody repeating this throughout the dance competition circuit. We're seeing this all over Instagram and yoga and things like that, but more so now than ever is there like this, I don't know, prize goal of becoming like extremely flexible or making sure that you get an oversplit or a back needle. And a back needle is like when you pull a scorpion behind your head and your legs are an entire 180-degree split while your back is literally bent in half. Now, flexibility, we know, is something that is to be valued as a dancer, but is there a point when it becomes too much? So basically, my opinion on hyperflexibility and extreme flexibility is, one, that it is great to practice all of these cool, impressive flexibility tricks until you are about, 12 years old, before you hit puberty. We'll touch on that later. And it is great to continue practicing these contortionistic, extreme flexibility tricks if you want to, and that is your main priority. Emphasis on main priority, because if you make that your priority as an adult and heading through later in life, there's just going to be things that you're not going to be able to do, or you're not going to be able to do excellently if you're making flexibility or extreme flexibility a priority. So basically why this is okay in little kids. Little kids are extremely limber, their ligaments have not solidified, got really hard in place like adults. For adults it takes a lot more time and patience to achieve the kind of flexibility that children get almost naturally or through very little movement, because their muscles are still soft, their ligaments, their bones, everything is just growing and everything is still malleable. Now, even in little children, you can see injury, because when strength is not balanced to flexibility, injury can always occur. There's always going to be that risk of injury. But with little kids, it's not so much of a worry. You're not really worried about like slipping a disc in your spine or any of those kinds of problems that would be a lot more apparent or evident with adults or older people that are practicing. Now, flexibility is great. Now, extreme flexibility is when you're talking like dislocating your shoulders, like extreme shoulder flexibility past 180 degrees basically. It's good to have more range of motion in your shoulders, but we're talking like to the point of dislocating shoulders to move things like that. Or when it comes to like an extreme oversplit, I'm talking like 190-degree oversplit or more, and extreme back flexibility. I'm just referring to like when people do a back limber or a triple fold. A triple fold is when you fold literally 3 times your feet are over top of your shoulders on the ground, your face is facing forward. You see that a lot in children's acrobatics and all of these children's dance solos, and in Cirque du Soleil, contortion. Now, you may be wondering if contortionistic extreme flexibility is not that great of a thing. What about contortionists? Well, contortionists, like I said earlier, make that their main priority to be flexible. And you don't see contortionists trying to execute high jumps, extreme, difficult dance steps. Like, they keep it to stretching their body and impressing people using their flexibility. And contortionists may stretch up to 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day to prepare for one performance, adult contortionists, whereas a child may just have that flexibility. But now the problem with extreme flexibility is when you put the emphasis on flexibility, you are no longer putting the emphasis on balance and strength. And when you have balance to your flexibility and strength, that is how, and that is the best way to avoid injuries. And as a dancer, we want to have longevity. So I believe, it is my belief, that longevity is a greater value than extreme flexibility. Now, there's also cases of hypermobility that is like related to disorders like Ehlers Danlos, which is a disorder where you have way too much, I believe, elastin in your cartilage and things like that. So your body is extremely flexible and it doesn't have the strength to bring back. I think it might actually be too little of elastin in your tendons and stuff like that, is Ehlers Danlos. And in that case, if you have Ehlers Danlos, you should be really, really careful if you are dancing or anything, and you really should definitely not be overstretching. You will naturally have extreme flexibility, but it's not anything that you should push, because if you have this disorder, you will not have the strength to recover and to keep yourself from becoming injured, because that is already going to be a concern of yours with Ehlers Danlos. So that being out of the way, just putting major focus on flexibility. I think that as a dancer, you should make it your goal to have a full split on both legs, to have equal flexibility on both sides. I am a big proprietor. I would like to tell everybody to be balanced, whether that's with strength or flexibility, or whether it is balancing your flexibility on both sides. You don't want to have one leg way more flexible than the other. If you have an injury on one hamstring, you're going to want to take it easy on the hamstring that is not injured, so that they don't become way off balance, because that will throw off all of your balance in your turns, in your kicks, in your jumps, just in your spinal and postural alignment in general. So yeah, I guess my opinion is hyperflexibility. It's great for kids. If you want to make it your main priority in yoga or something like that, just make sure that you are focusing on keeping your balance and your strength as well through strengthening exercises, because the more flexibility that you have in your back, if you're not balancing that out with core strength, and you're not really working your lower abdomen and things like that, you're just always working on this flexibility, then you're going to have problems coming up, like an anterior pelvic tilt that you're going to have to deal with later. You might have your shoulders rounding in, your neck posture might get affected. All of these things that are going to happen when there is an imbalance of muscles, because when you're constantly doing like mobility exercises for your back, because you're trying to become extremely flexible, then you're always shortening the muscles in your back when you want to be elongating the muscles in your back in order to have a nice sturdy posture, and you're constantly elongating the abdomen muscles and lengthening out everything in the front, which is what's going to have your upper body tilting back and creating a sway back and an anterior pelvic tilt, and all of these things that you are going to later down the road have to correct in order to continue doing things like turns or being able to keep your balance. So that's why I say, unless extreme flexibility is like your one goal in life, you want to be a contortionist, it's really not that important. Some people are naturally going to be more flexible and be able to do like a back needle or have like a really high kick, and some people aren't, and it's really not that important, because dance is about expressing your emotions through movement, and it's not about being able to bend in half 3 times or hold your leg behind your head in a bow and arrow or any of those things. Like, those are not important if that is your strong suit. If you are one of those Gumby dancers, like I naturally have a lot of flexibility, and I have also worked really, really hard to be flexible. But that is my body type, and those are some of my strengths. But because I worked so long to be flexible, I'm currently dealing with a lot of the issues of having to shorten my abdominal muscles, really work hard on building strength in my lower abdominal muscles, working on my glutes to try and correct the anterior pelvic tilt and sway back, always constantly having to be focused on my posture for the last like 12 years, has to be really conscious because it's something that I want to correct as a dancer. And to also be a good role model for other dancers or other people that are looking up to me as a mentor or a tutor. But yeah, so that is why hypermobility is, sure, it's great if it's natural, but if it's not really something that you need to strive for. You can be a professional dancer without bending in half. If you look at professional dancers, they're mostly, like, I would say 98% to 99% of professional dancers are commercial dancers working in music videos, working in film, and working at like theme parks, aboard cruise ships, things like that. And if you look at what they do, most all of it is not hyperflexibility. You see hyperflexibility in contortionists at the circus, in children in dance competitions, in children on TV, children, in child gymnasts, or in people that practice yoga for a living, and they, trust me, are focusing on balancing their strength and their flexibility. So if you're seeing anybody that is doing any of these extreme flexibility tricks in their professional yogi, chances are they also have some extreme core strength, and they are not suffering from issues like a sway back and an anterior pelvic tilt. So I hope this video was informational and educational, and I just wanted to make this video to inspire you guys that no matter what kind of range of motion, whether you are a Gumby dancer, a super flexible dancer or not, that everybody can dance, everybody of every shape and size, and I encourage all of you to dance. And I hope this video was useful in dispelling any myths that you might have around hyperflexibility. The main thing is just to prevent injury. You really don't want to be like slipping a disc in your back and having to go to chiro and physical therapy just because you wanted to have this impressive flexibility trick. And just as another word, if you're going to be practicing anything that requires hyperflexibility, make sure you are extremely warm before you even start stretching. Some people recommend doing static stretches first. I definitely 100% never, ever. I recommend doing a light exercise first that warms up your body, like jogging on the spot, jumping jacks, anything like super simple, just to warm up your body, and then you can start with active stretching, like moving through your legs, turning in and out your hips, and just doing stuff like that, warming up before you do static stretching. In my opinion, there is nothing worse and nothing that's going to set you up more for injuries than doing static stretching with cold muscles. So forget the archaic idea that you should stretch before you exercise. You should warm up before you stretch, and you should warm up before you exercise. So that is it for this video, and as always, I just wanted to remind all of you guys to be weird, be wild, and stay sparkly. And please give this video a thumbs up if it was useful to you guys, and please subscribe to my channel if you would like to join the Sparkly family. I'm going to be making a lot more educational and dance-related videos like this one if that is what you're into, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Namaste. Goodbye.